point of view, you probably might be just as bad as Republicans. Secondly, I said it doesn't matter who's fucking dying. You're literally laughing at black and brown people dying when you laugh at the situation in Texas, dumbass. That's my point, dumbass. How do you not understand this, dumbass? If you only care about fucking Democrats and their survival, dumbass, then recognize that there are still millions of fucking Democrats that live in Texas that are in this fucking chat right now, dumbass. Conservatives I know here in Texas are basically advocating for electric price gouging right now because they want to make sure that they get power while poor and old people go cold. My 87-year-old granddad was without power and alone on his birthday. It angers me so much. That's fucking terrible, dude. If that's your point of view, you should really reconsider it and you should stop thinking like that, is my point. Why would the people of color be the first ones to lose electricity? Well, people of color are more likely to be poorer than white people, okay, on average. Therefore, they live in poorer neighborhoods that are more likely to suffer immediately from the lack of infrastructural spending. A great example of this is what happened with Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. They had a shitty infrastructure to begin with that had not been renovated for a very long time, and that's why their fucking entire power grid was knocked out for a whole year, right? So if you live in a poor neighborhood, you are more likely to suffer larger consequences from things like this, these sorts of shortages. And then on top of that, when electricity is being distributed, they're going to take it away from the poorer neighborhoods to maintain the power grid and the electricity of wealthier neighborhoods. That's just how it fucking works, unfortunately. I live in Texas and just got power back after 2 days. They're cutting water for more power, and my family just ran out of firewood. On top of it all, the wealthy neighborhoods haven't lost power at all. Agreed, but we can see wealthy suburbs are being shut down too. Making this a race issue, LMAO. In the United States of America, a lot of problems can be analyzed from a racial background as well, because there are systemic problems like systemic racism that have gone unaddressed for many, many decades, if not centuries, because of fucking morons like you who keep saying, lol, how is this a race issue? I still predominantly focus on it from a class basis, and that's why I always factor in poverty, okay? Say you care about white trash just as much as black and brown people? I do. I care about poor people just as much as I care about everyone, okay? Anyway. And there is plenty to laugh at. And I've been laughing at it all fucking morning. We've been talking about chuds and how they think that this is a consequence of fucking wind turbines and shit. Which is fine. But thinking like it's the entirety of Texas's fault for voting for fucking Republicans is ridiculous when, you know, plenty of people don't vote for Republicans. And even the fucking morons that did vote for the Republicans still don't deserve to be in this situation. That's not true in my opinion. Actually, white trash people are racist, so they deserve to freeze to death. And if you don't agree with me, it's a pretty bad look, you class reductionist. Yeah. I'm of the radical mindset that even fucking white trash reactionaries who are racist and shit still, you know, deserve to survive. And I happen to have that radical fucking point of view that those white trash reactionaries wouldn't be so fucking reactionary if their material problems were solved. You could greatly eliminate a lot of the problems. Wario dies in a car crash after spilling coffee on his lap. Animated. You're gonna get banned for this? Why would I get banned for this? Guys, that person whose comment I read is joking about what liberals say. And I didn't fucking say it myself. I'm reading a comment. Anyway. The Biden admin approved emergency funds immediately without the sorts of tantrums we see from Trump and blue states. Seems like we're just being mad at Twitter here. No, we're being mad at fucking idiotic Republicans still, especially Republicans in positions of power, and we're laughing at them. How does everyone relate everything to politics? Because everything you experience is a consequence of politics. The fact that fucking Texas is experiencing outages like this, and the distribution of power is, or the distribution of outages is heavily, heavily experienced by neighborhoods that aren't as wealthy as others, is literally fucking politics. Everything is politics. There's nothing in this world that is devoid of politics. Especially shit like this. Okay, it's top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 60-second ad break. I'm going to run that right now, all right? Time for a 60-second ad break. If you no longer want to see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5. You can do it for $5, or you can do it for fucking free. All right? By subscribing with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. Use that on your favorite streamer. Here's the ad now. Anyway, also, yeah, I love when people say, like, how is this political? How is this political, by the way, when, like, in America, you can't even fucking wear a mask without it being a political issue, apparently. Like, America is uniquely bad with turning everything into a culture war issue. Okay? Even shit that's not supposed to be inherently political, I guess. Okay. You should show the map of outages from Encore for Dallas and then look at Highland Park. Austin power grid is literally segregated. You're right to say. Holy shit, dude. I saw photos of this, by the way. Fuck Highland Park. My friends don't have power because of them. As socialists, we must always remember that the conditions of the world are dictated by the powerful, not the powerless. Our task is to change the class structure so that those who have no power in the system have all of it. The worst part is, like, some of these places are literally fucking businesses. But I think that's probably because these are businesses and they're near hospitals, right? And that's part of the reason, I assume. They might also not be so reactionary when they weren't literally told to die by the wealthy, woke, scoldy classist neolibs. I don't think they can divide power on a per building basis. Yeah, no, it's you're probably in the grid that happens to be on the hospital. And that's why. Of course hospitals are going to always be powered over everything else. The stars are bright. Downtown Houston, Austin. Yeah, like this shit probably triggers the fuck out of people, dude. There's no better way to there's no more effective way of radicalizing people than having them sit on top of their fucking roofs when there's a massive like wind, snow, ice storm happening, and you look over the fucking city line and you see dumbass like Geico buildings and shit lit the fuck up brightly because they have backup generators for the most part, and they're literally empty too. They're empty. These buildings are fucking empty. My power's off for 30 hours. Just came back. Fuck ERCOT. Fuck Greg Abbott. He can suck my frozen cock. God save us. Check out these pics from Entergy, one of our power providers. Ice drapes machinery. Right now, more than 4 million Texan homes are without power. These pictures help explain why. Yeah. It's not even the backup generators. They just never lost power in the first place. For context, East Austin is a low-income area where many black and brown people reside and has been historically segregated by the I-35. I know that they have massive backup generators too, but I don't think they ever turned off the power in the city. But the reason why they didn't turn off the power in the city is because of the hospitals. That's what I was trying to say. You can't just be like, we're directing the power only to the fucking hospital and nothing else. It's usually on a power grid that that features all the neighboring structures. And that's the reason why. But it still doesn't change the reality that it's probably really fucking triggering to see empty buildings lit the fuck up and warm while you are literally freezing. Here's a demographic map showing the I-35 segregation line. Yeah. Folks at TVA being real petty today. The Tennessee Valley Authority. Our hydro generation fleet helps meet peak power demands like this morning's frigid temperatures. Here's a look at the Unit 4 spinning shaft at the Cherokee Dam. Oh my God. This morning's peak power demand was approximately 28,141 megawatts at a system average temperature of 14. The highest winter peak in 3 years. 45% of the power is coming from carbon-free sources. This evening peak power demand could be similar. I mean, they're literally flexing. And they kind of deserve to be honest. I wonder what Ben Shabibo thinks about the Tennessee Valley Authority. I'm sure he has fucking plenty of videos on it, shitting on them for, socialism or whatever the fuck he thinks it is. When you burp, please. Yeah, no. Some context, these are rolling blackouts and they turn off in a circuit to reduce demand, and they shouldn't turn off certain areas that contain hospitals and warming centers. I know. But can't the individual buildings turn off power to conserve? They probably don't want to because they have servers and shit running at all times. Those buildings have a bunch of shit in them that the business would never want to switch over to their own generator for. Tennessee rarely gets over 95 in the summer, where we get up to 115 stupid fucking flex. The difference is they would be prepared for it. That's what they're trying to show you here. Like, there are plenty of places around the country that have the infrastructure prepared for, extreme weather conditions, because I guess they're not technically considered extreme for said areas, right? You can maul all you fucking want, but the reality is it's about being prepared for the upcoming issues. And if you're not prepared, you get caught with your fucking dick out in the wind. Don't most states being owned by people for having their power supplied by the private sector? Don't most states' utilities come from private sector corporations or have government-sanctioned monopolies to supply utilities? Or is it more of a flex on Texas to have outdated infrastructure, which is a weird flex to have? No, it is. It is an outdated. It's a bit of both. But yes, most states have that. You're right. Which is precisely why I started off by talking about California's issues with PG&E, for example, guys. Nearly every American state has these sorts of issues, okay? Everywhere. We have these sorts of problems everywhere. The TVA is a partially socialized industry that are working, and we have a bunch of backup plans for stuff like this, like floods, winter weather, summer heat, etc. Yeah. Privatization in a lot of instances means that utility providers will basically own a monopoly, okay? They sit on a fat fucking contract from the government what the government should be doing is outsource to private corporations that functionally have a monopoly in an entire region to provide them the utilities. They get money from taxpayers to upgrade their infrastructure, money that they don't actually use to upgrade their fucking infrastructure. And then they turn around and spend some of that money on the upcoming lawsuits because it's much cheaper for them to not upgrade the infrastructure, allow wildfires to occur or gas leaks to occur and explosions to occur, and then pay off the victims in a court case, rather than actually take the money and utilize it appropriately. Okay? It happens everywhere. What should happen instead is for public utilities to be owned 100% by the public itself. From the people that live in that region, to have a say in the matter by, electing people to those to managerial positions, to have it be fully unionized, to have a fully unionized workforce that also has a say in what happens. Public-private partnerships are the downfall of American infrastructure. It seems that isn't Biden admin proposing more PPPs to upgrade infrastructure right now? Yeah. You're just jealous you aren't an oil baron? Yes, exactly. That's the type of world libertarians want? Do you mean the type of world that we're living in right now, where the government outsources the utilities management to private entities because the government can't handle it? Because that's what we have currently. America is America's closer to an ANCAP dystopia than any other comparable Western developed nation on this planet. Okay, we are infinitely closer. We are the most ANCAPistan out of all of the OECD nations. Okay, not all of them, but all the comparable OECD nations. Everything that you fucking hate, you hate because of shit contracts offered to private corporations that are like 1 degree removed with blood relations to a fucking politician, that put a half-assed effort into these inflated contracts to deliver you subpar coverage. I live in the capital of Chile and our water system is privatized. I know. It's fucking great. Every year it rains and the water supply is cut off. Private companies never are held responsible. Started watching you when you played Rust and completely agree with your viewpoints. Didn't realize you were just actually just another socialist elite. Good one. Dumbass. Hey, you're talking about Austin, Texas being without power today, but I watched Bumble go public from their Austin headquarters at $75 a share, so I really don't think things are that bad. Probably just a bunch of ANCAP pussies complaining. Yeah, you're right. Had a libertarian show me this. What's a good response? Capitalism versus corporatism. An individual has an idea. An individual has an idea. That individual forms a company and makes product from that idea. Okay. Corporatism is just capitalism, okay? People that fucking make the distinction between good capitalism versus bad capitalism are being silly bitches. Capitalism is corporatism. You're just recognizing all of the inherent flaws within the capitalist organization of the economy. And basically what you're stating is, oh, all those flaws, that's something entirely different. That's what it is. Because all companies want to monopolize. It is the best way that you can improve your profit margin. If you understand that companies are profit driven, then you also understand that, of course, they want to fucking become a monopoly. That's why the most successful companies in America are near monopolies, or at least functioning in an oligopolistic structure where they engage in price leadership, not price fixing, but price leadership instead, which is legal and totally cool and very different than price fixing, which is not legal and not cool. So libertarians live in this delusional world where all of the many benefits of collectivism and socialization do not exist for some fucking weird reason. They refuse to look at examples where even inside of capitalist organizations of the economy, socialistic constructs have been greatly beneficial to improving the material conditions of the working poor. Okay? And then they say, no, you don't understand. It's just true capitalism hasn't been fucking tried. Consumers give the company money for the product. Consumers give the company money for the product. Company becomes successful. Company becomes successful. Someone else has a better idea, creates a better product. The company uses his wealth to manipulate the government into giving it more power through tax rates, regulations, etc. Again, like, why would... First of all, you have to have regulatory control. Even minarchists understand that you have to have a court system, okay? And you have to have some form of governance, okay? Libertarians, like libertarian minarchists, still believe that there is a minimal amount of government that's a necessity in order for you to have contracts that you can declare legitimate, okay? Because without that, someone can just storm in with a fucking bigger gun than you and take everything else, okay? That's why Sam Cedar can just fucking dunk on libertarians by being like, okay, you own something, I have more guns than you, I'm going to come in and kill you and take your shit. You have to have a system designed, a system set in place where there is a court system, right? So as soon as you have that, rent-seeking behavior is going to exist. Why is it going to exist? Because companies under capitalism or under any organization of the economy, corporations in the way that we understand it, want to fucking grow. They want to increase their profit margins. And the best way to do that is, of course, by fucking playing the refs, especially when you have a certain amount of power. if there isn't rent-seeking behavior in every single deregulated industry, you still see companies turning into monopolies or oligopolies, either by vertical or horizontal integration. Okay, you either buy out every part of the process in the fucking in your logistics, in your supply chain, or you buy out competitors and downsize and maximize your efficiency by destroying the competition. Every company will do this. It doesn't matter. There is no way to compete, especially when there are industries with natural barriers of entry. Public utilities are a perfect example of this. So libertarians have no fucking answer to this, okay? What do you do? How do you exist when so many industries rely on public research, publicly funded research like the internet, okay? That doesn't rely on short-term profit motives and requires a tremendous amount of spending and failure until you arrive at a life-changing, game-changing technological achievement like the internet, okay? That rely on roads and infrastructure and power and utilities, things that are a product of, again, collectivism and a product of socialization. And then beyond that, how the fuck do you just start your own small business airline, for example? You can't. Even if, let's say, in this magical universe, we somehow built roads, somehow corporations built their own roads, okay? How the fuck do you, I don't know, how do you operate? Like, how do you fucking, how do you do airlines and shit? How do you create public utilities? Or not even public utilities, but like utilities in general? You can't. Industries with natural barriers of entry are always going, and that's a real thing that exists. Natural barriers of entry exist. Industries with natural barriers of entry are always going to be monopolistic without government regulation. You understand? So this notion that, like, you know, you can just build your own competing airline lol is fucking idiotic. Yes, it's called a natural monopoly. Hassan's argument applies to libertarian socialism because everything is done by the public, just without a state. So public research does not become impossible because it's always the public doing the research. Yes, libertarian socialism does not mean that there is no fucking governing body. That's the biggest difference between anarcho-capitalism is that, or libertarianism, like right libertarianism, and libertarian socialism, is that there's still some form of democratically elected governing body that is deciding on a lot of these in a democratic process. Whereas in an anarcho-capitalist utopia, you have corporations. Corporations are inherently authoritarian. If you don't believe me, tell your boss that you're not coming to work today, or if you go to work today, tell your boss that you're going to work on something else. I've decided tomorrow that I'm no longer going to be doing accounting. I've decided that I am going to be focusing on marketing tomorrow. See how well that works out for you. You can't fucking do that in a corporation. You can't decide what to do with the profits because you are engaging in what is known as wage labor. Okay? Your corporation tells you what to fucking do because it is an inherently authoritarian construct. That's how corporations exist under democracies, as basically a small fascist ecosystem, or a small, not fascist, but small authoritarian ecosystem. Libertarian socialism, on the other hand, has democracy baked into the corporations at the smallest units. Lib right and lib left are both made up internet bullshit? No, no, dude, what? Anyway. I don't know how you can live through 4 years of Trump and then argue that the solution, we would elect the guy who runs the power grid. Wait, what? I hate this notion that, like, democracy within smaller fucking forms that have a direct impact on your life are going to be subject to the same kind of idiotic no choice two parties problems that you engage in when it comes to electing the president. And also, on top of that, like, what's your argument then? Doing fucking fascism or something? Like, what is your take? Just, yeah, let's just, dumb people elected Donald Trump, so let's just have fucking monarchies instead going forward. Good take. And again, if we even had direct democracy or a popular vote, Donald Trump wouldn't be fucking president anyway. There's no electoral college within like local positions like that. And there shouldn't be. Pointing to inefficiencies that are anti-democratic to say that democracy fails is really an idiotic take. How do you perfectly understand economic principles but then still believe in democratic socialism? You're like the biologist that believes in God? Because I think that democratic socialism is a more humane and more advanced and evolved way of actually engaging in democracy. Okay? Because it's actually democratic. I just described to you how capitalist companies operate. Also, plenty of fucking biologists believe in God. I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, believing in fucking God does not mean that you also think that, like, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, dog. I'm pretty sure. Not that I personally do, but... No choice two-party system. My take is that they expect people to make an informed decision for their 5 utility providers and not get influenced by bullshit populist arguments is utopic. Oh, you're one of those dumbass fucking neoliberals. Oh yeah, no. You're right. Sorry, brother. You're right. You should have the current system, which is unelected representatives that have absolutely no interest in helping out the people that they are supposed to. The way that we currently have it is absolutely not mismanaged. You're right. Thank you for your take. Never mind. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, what if socialists decide to democratically do racism, therefore owned?
You know, everybody in the U.S. does actually have insurance. It's called GoFundMe. It's used more than any other insurance. It's like a popularity contest. You lose, you die. I like it. Anyway, let's get back to the igloo. Shit. Give me that thing.
He's right. Do capitalist shields just not understand how cartels work? If you win, you put off crippling debt until the next disaster? You cannot change the hearts and minds of the nihilist consumer piggies with democratic socialism. That's Cope, Sag. I mean, I like consumerism. I don't think that it's necessarily all that bad. It's pretty effective at being the true opium for the masses, more so than religion itself. It's just the reality. If you don't want people to fucking revolt, look at how well neoliberals have kept this nation under control and sedated for far too fucking long. If you believe that in order to govern, you always have to keep the piggies at bay, you have to feed them fucking slop. I like consumerism. Are you kidding, dog? Your name is literally free luxury, you dumb fuck. If you don't give people coffee beans when they desperately need fucking coffee, then they're gonna fucking revolt. It's a method of control that I unironically believe is better than more authoritarian controls. You sound like an Applebee Andy? No, I'm a fucking realist Andy who understands that Applebee's is better than... Guys, if you are thinking about control and distribution of information, for example, you have two different models. You have the Eastern model, like the USSR or the CCP model, where everyone knows that the government is authoritarian and there's no freedom of speech. Or you have the Western model, where you think there is fucking freedom of speech and freedom of choice, but everything is neatly wrapped up within the confines of whatever the acceptable neoliberal conversation is, okay? Now, that might shift slowly but surely to the right, but ultimately, there's still control over what kind of information is getting disseminated and what kind of information has legitimacy. Okay, the institutions still control that. It's the difference between the government providing one brand for you, okay, and limiting whatever you can get or limiting the diversity of your opinions versus having 6 companies provide a multitude, thousands of different fucking brands, even though it's still coming from, 4 different massive multinational corporations that are creating all the commodities. If you offer people an illusion of choice, they believe that they're free. If you want to control people, which all matter of governance at some degree controls people, then you have to offer them the illusion of fucking choice. I think that's a better, more effective method of control than literally forcing people at gunpoint or with the threat of going to a re-education camp or with the threat of all these other things. It is still an illusion of choice, by the way, and even the imperialist Western nations are still subject to the same fucking shortages that you see or liken or only thought like communist nations would have. Okay, look no further than what the fuck happened in America, and it's still happening in America, but definitely at the peak of the COVID crisis when you wanted to buy fucking toilet paper. Hassan admits being part of the capitalist illusion of media choice. Brother, do you see me on CNN? Do I fucking have, like, institutional legitimacy? I'm a dumb himbo who even gets banned from the fucking Twitch platform multiple times. Lol, you used to? Really? TYT? Because of TYT? That's institutional legitimacy? Are you out of your fucking mind? I'm literally a fucking Twitch streamer. I'm about to play video games. I'm about to do live action role play for like the next 10 hours. I have no institutional legitimacy. I have no control. I only have my ideas and advocacy that I engage in that you can make the... it might be a while till the cleric returns, my man. House got completely fucked by the Texas freeze. Oh, no. That sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that, Garrick. I hope you're doing all right. The board talked about this in the Society of Spectacle. He called the Western model the diffuse spectacle, characterized by hella commodities and the illusion of choice. I think it's a more acceptable, it's a better, I would go so far as to say more humane method of control than literally forcing people to do shit. Weren't you not convinced in anarchism? I think you've been here for long enough to recognize that no, I am not a like full-blown anarchist. I've said this before. If you want to be morally righteous, you can be an anarchist. If you want to be more pragmatic, you are a Marxist-Leninist. And if you want to be a wishy-washy bullshitter like myself who believes in marginal improvement in the material conditions for the working class, you just are me, and you are a dem sock, I guess. Isn't the other side of consumerism imperialism, though? How can you sustain it otherwise? I mean, the way that we currently have our economic organization is capitalism. Offering a multitude, offering just a robust array of different products is not necessarily a capitalist construct. I don't believe, I think you could do that even if it was literally all owned by the fucking government. Just like when it's owned by fucking 3 companies, you still have a million different products, right? You have 32 different brands of Oreos, even though there's like three commodities providers. Yeah, someone also in the chat pointed out the government can, the government can print different fucking stickers as well, my friend. Can you finally move on from this topic, please? U.S. has bombed the shit out of other countries. It's time that you get used to power cutouts too. Let's watch. Yeah, let's fucking read this article instead, which is really incredible. So there's a game called 6 Days in Fallujah, and the publisher, the controversial Iraq war shooter, said that they were not trying to make a political commentary. Those looking for a critical perspective on the Iraq War should steer clear of the 6 Days in Fallujah. The controversial first-person shooter seeks to portray one of the bloodiest battles in American history, one that cost the lives of United States and allied forces, as well as thousands of Iraqi citizens in 2004. Originally announced in 2009, the game was dropped by publisher Konami due to the objections of the families of service members killed during the Iraq War. In the 12 years since, public opinion has demonstrably shifted against that war. I assume they're trying to say that there are no female characters, no black characters. I guess that's what they're talking about, right? That's why they mean like it's not political. I think reasonable. That makes the job of Peter Tamte, the head of 6 Days in Fallujah publisher Victura, perhaps harder today than it was more than a decade ago. In an interview with Polygon on Thursday after the game was announced for a second time, he was insistent that the developer Highwire Games will not grapple with the political machinations that led to the titular conflict. Instead, the first-person shooter will try to engender empathy for American troops in the field, for their work destroying the insurgents that dug in through Fallujah, and for the civilians trapped in between. Oh, wow. I think responsible people can disagree with that, he told Polygon of his narrative strategy. For us, as a team, it is really about helping players understand the complexity of urban combat. About the experience of that individual that is now there because of political decisions. And we do want to show how choices that are made by policymakers affect the choices that a Marine needs to make on the battlefield, just as that Marine cannot second guess the choices by the policymakers. We are not trying to make a political commentary about whether or not the war itself was a good or a bad idea. Wait, what? We are going to make this inherently political game in an inherently political thing such as war that is inherently political and like super political as a matter of fact. But, it's not actually political. Just because you say something is not actually political doesn't mean that it's not fucking political, dude. A terrorist named Abu Musab al-Zarqawi drew fighters to the city from around the country and beyond. The violence he inspired directly caused thousands of civilian casualties, but also resulted in the deaths of a team of private military contractors from Blackwater, USA. Guys, the image of their burned and mutilated corpses hanging from a bridge became synonymous with the U.S. occupation of the country itself. In 2004, Western forces tried to retake the good guys, The Blackwater good guys. The game is being made by CIA, no cap. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't possibly guess why 6 Days in Fallujah is being revived at a time when the U.S. Army recruitment is an all-time low. This reboot from the same people that worked with the FBI and CIA on training systems is basing its game on excusing U.S. war crimes. At the start of 2005, Destineer was developing training simulators for the FBI and CIA titled Judgmental Shooting Simulator, concurrently developing narrative-driven games. Using those simulators as a basis for mass market appeal, the studio wanted to translate Fallujah's grueling combat in the same way. Oh, that makes sense. So what's in it for the CIA? Well, Tomte says Destineer will create training systems for far more effective than our government has been getting in the past, while at the same time getting our unique subject matter expertise from the government customers that we use to make our commercial video games more authentic. So what, is this like literally fucking training CIA and FBI operatives to like not care about the people that they're murdering? Like, is that what their games are? The thing about shooting, the thing about like doing war crimes is not the human casualty, but actually the judgment that comes as a consequence of engaging in those war crimes. I think so. You know, what we should do is be less judgmental about Blackwater, for example, and instead, you know, think about the grueling combat scenarios that people are engaging in. What is this? War is political machinations. Yes, we know that already. Engender sympathy for the U.S. troops. Excuse the fuck me. When you look up the casualty statistics for the Iraq War, you'll find that U.S. deaths, but you could barely find Iraqi victims, civilian of resistance, or insurgent of terrorists. They're all defined as terrorists. They're collateral. How about the experiences of that individual that was just living there and they and their kids and their husband tried to flee, but men of the military age were refused escape from the besieged city by the U.S. before the U.S. went door to door and killed everyone that looked at them wrong? This is literally the least interesting part of the entire conflict between kill and be killed. People tend to opt to kill. We can play that in Doom. We can play that in Quake. If you leave the context of knowing the war was wrong, you might as well not make this. With all due respect to Charlie Hall's phenomenal reporting, the Iraq War and its devastating effects are not in rear view mirror by a long shot. The notion that wars are over as soon as they're no longer in the news in the U.S. is how U.S. ends up in this mess over and over again. They dropped leaflets on Fallujah saying that if you were 15 or over, you were automatically enemy combatants. It's a video game. Who gives a fuck? Well, clearly the ones who are making this video game give a fuck enough that they want to use this as an opportunity to further propagandize to young impressionable youths that are fucking fed with a bunch of Call of Duty to join the military, because even some of the grosser war crimes that the United States military has committed can now be whitewashed and made seem cool. So that's what it is. It's still propaganda. I mean, do I think that this moves the needle? No, I think that the real problem is still hidden within the material realities and the material interests, the military-industrial complex and its endless pursuit of increasing profit margins, selling guns to both sides, making it so that our protection racket of an American military is consistently engaging in destabilizing efforts all around the world, so that there are still, the same kind of rebel leaders that we originally trained with the guns that we gave them can then turn around and fight back against us, so that we can go back in again and again and again. But remember when the Highway of Death was changed to a Russian war crime in Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Yeah, it was great. It's great. That's a real American war crime committed by George H.W. Bush. That Call of Duty Modern Warfare literally fucking said that Russia did in their game. in their apolitical game. If this kind of propaganda wasn't effective or considered to be effective by those in positions of power, they wouldn't turn around and make fucking U.S. military ads similar to, you know, Call of Duty video game trailers. I mean, it's all deliberate. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, people are still, there's a lot of atrophy. People are still bored of war. They fucking find it to be endlessly cruel and unnecessarily cruel. And there hasn't been a 9/11 style situation to really galvanize and really agitate people into rising up and joining the military as an honorable endeavor. It is shallow and pedantic, but that is the truth. People are bored of war. So these people are trying to actively recruit more people to, you know, sell their fucking bodies and souls to the U.S. military, because just a faint promise of upward social mobility is not enough. The poverty draft that we currently have is not enough to keep the American military engine running. Funny thing too is that the people who play this shit are the gamers who complain about politics in their video games when there's anything remotely perceived as left-leaning in them. Yeah. You have to be brain dead to think real combat looks like Call of Duty. It's not about thinking that real combat looks like Call of Duty, my friend. It's about thinking that real combat is cool and that the people that you're blowing away aren't fucking, 15-year-old boys that once had a dream that was robbed from them, but instead, you know, terrorists who just fucking hate America for no reason other than the fact that, you know, America exists. Why are you such a Karen about everything? Are you okay? I learned it from your mom after I fucking demolished her cheeks last night. China virus 09. Wrong. Bin Laden did the war crime. The reason people are bored of war is because it's not full-blown World War III yet. Once we start nuking, people will enjoy it more. Oh, God. Why am I fucking talking to a literal 12-year-old, dude? Yeah, here. I'll speak in terms that you understand. It's because I blew your fucking mom's back out last night, and I learned how to be a Karen from her. Also, you're fucking grounded, bitch. Bin Laden is a perfect example of exactly what I was talking about arming both sides of the conflict and training people exactly like Bin Laden, by the way. You dumb fuck. I wish you learned a little bit more about history. Is it me, or has there been a serious uptick in dumbass today? No, I don't think so. I think people are just, like, bored. Bold of you to discuss war issues. By the way, has your supported candidate withdrawn troops from many of the areas where the U.S. murders? No. My supported candidate? What do you want me to do? Like, people talk as though, like, I can fucking go and bomb forward operating bases or something in the Karangal Valley. Like, what does this take? Like, what do you want me to do? Dismantle American imperialism from my fucking Twitch desk, dude? Like, what a fucking stupid take. Oh, your candidate did not scale back on the American war machine. Oh, shit, dude. Never mind. I forgot to make a phone call. That's why. I'm Henry Kissinger. The thing is, like, I've even said that even Bernie Sanders himself was never going to be able to successfully dismantle American imperialism. Like, if people had that notion, I told them not to believe such ridiculous things. I have often heard that Bernie is a massive imperialist. Can you elaborate on that? Every American politician, for the most part, if not every single one, or the overwhelming majority of American politicians are technically war criminals because they are operating within an unjust system. They are operating and working for the American empire. That's just how it is. So technically, you could say that Bernie Sanders is a war criminal as well if you're one of those like fucking weirdos. But then that kind of diminishes the severity of the term war criminal. That takes away from the power of calling someone a fucking war criminal. Because if you call everyone a war criminal, then no one is a fucking war criminal. You know what I mean? Didn't you fight in Fallujah on the side of the Mujahid? Really, dude? That's what we're reducing this to now. As a Muslim, I want to destroy the Jews and install Sharia communism to the world. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, you must be a real Muslim in the chat. Fucking weirdo. Typical leftist logic: if everyone's a human, no one is human. This is why no one takes liberals serious. You cringe. Trailer for the game is worse than I thought. Wait, they have... Wait, I can't show this. This is like real life shit. Do they have... Is this fucking real? They're gonna show like real blood. There's no way it's not. I hope the level of this game is like Spec Ops The Line or higher. Well, if... Why is this so controversial again? Because it's one of the most fucking violent and bloody conflicts that is a war crime. Video game blood only? Yeah, Spec Ops The Line is anti-war, I thought. Yeah, they're showing real footage, dude. I don't want to fuck with this. Bro, they're literally showing actual ISIS footage. This is like one step removed from showing fucking beheadings. Who the fuck thought this was an appropriate thing to show? Are you insane? They actually have like... Oh, and then the rest of it is like a video game footage, I think. Okay, here, I'll skip the ISIS part of it, okay?
These terrorists have been captured.
I won't show you the ISIS and the real stuff.
Saddam had been captured. The Iraqi army scattered. Lawlessness and fear gave al-Zarqawi his moment, and he was prepared. They seized Fallujah, and the city was the first to suffer under their black banner.
These terrorists were armed to the teeth. No one would fight against them.
It had to be stopped.
For